Tonight we're gonna go into slavery, right? Got this book here called Slavery, A World History, written by Milton Meltzer, right? I'm not sure, I haven't thoroughly researched Milton Meltzer yet, but he's an Edomite researcher. Done a lot of research. A lot of the things that are written in this book, you know what I mean? He did a lot of research into going into the history of slavery in ancient times, how it was practiced in the different civilizations in Egypt, ancient Babylon, the Greeks, the Romans, you know what I mean, going way back. And the second half of this book deals with slavery from the Renaissance up until today. All right, so the Renaissance era is when this white man came to power in Europe, started whitewashing everything, made everything white. It's really when white supremacy began. It was deep, heavy about this book as he goes into how slavery was not a racist institution in ancient times. In ancient Greece and ancient Rome, being black, being white, tall or short had nothing to do with you being a slave. Black people owned slaves. Black people had power. White people were slaves. White people were poor, had power. White supremacy did not come into play in the world until the Renaissance era. All right, but I want to get into this book, and I want to get into slavery as a historical topic because a lot of people are confused about what exactly slavery is. Right. We all hear slavery, we think you're back getting whipped and being hung from tree. We think American slavery. American slavery was very savage. You understand? What the white man did hasn't been done in other places in the world. The way he enslaved us, beat us, whipped us, stripped our history, our heritage, our culture, wouldn't let us read. This is not something that has been practiced everywhere on the earth. Everybody understand? Slavery is, however, a necessary aspect of human civilization. Everybody understand? You cannot have an empire without slavery. You cannot have a thriving civilization without slavery. You cannot have a ruling class without having someone who serves that ruling class. Everybody understand? So we're going to go into the history of slavery. I'm going to go into the Bible and show you how the Lord gave us laws about slavery. There's a humane way to rule over someone. There's a humane way to have someone be your servant, be your slave, and it doesn't have to be you raping their daughters or raping them or raping their wives. That's not slavery. A lot of people, we say we're going to have slaves when we get in the kingdom, right? A lot of people think that means we're going to be raping white women. We're not going to rape nobody in the kingdom. Everybody understand? We're not going to, have sex with a white man's wife or have sex with a Chinese man's wife and then give her back. That's not slavery in the Bible. You understand? Even in the Bible, slaves there's a certain level of humanity that you have to treat a person with. And we're going to go into the Bible. We're going to get the details of slavery as the Lord prescribes it. You understand? And we're going to talk about slavery as existed in the history of the human race. Everybody understand? First, I'm going to get a couple definitions, right? Let's get the definition of the word slavery. You might have a dictionary. Come on, brother.
Slavery, like labor force today.
It's exactly like the labor force today.
And when they first came to the United States, they was only come here to be like a servant, like labor work. After I think it was 7 years, they were supposed to let free. That's why there was a lot of blacks in the United States that wasn't slaves.
Okay.
Their family was already here, but there was a law that the first ones that came to the United States was the ones that were just here for labor. Okay?
But this is what you gotta understand, brother. When it comes to slavery in America, you got to be real careful. Yeah. You got to be real careful when you talk about free blacks and how they came here, because there was different areas where slavery was instituted differently in America. Right. You can't just say in America, some blacks came to be free servants or workers, because that was not that free labor did not exist in the South in America. There were no free blacks coming to America to pick cotton. There were no free blacks picking tobacco. Hear me out. That's what I'm saying. There were some free blacks that came to work in New York City, that came to work in Boston doing shipbuilding and building houses and doing farming.
Right.
But you got to be careful when you say free blacks came over here, because that makes some people think that slavery wasn't horrible, that blacks migrated here to just work, and that's not the case. You understand? In schools now in America, in public schools, they teach the transatlantic slave trade was not a slave trade where we were forced to be slaves and put on the bottom of ships and brought over here. In public schools now, they call it the transatlantic migration.
Right.
You understand? To migrate means one group of people says, hey, there's nothing good for us here. We can't make no money. There's better opportunities over there. Let's go travel there to work. That is not what black people did coming to America. There was not a single group of black people that said, you know what? Life in Africa ain't really working out for us. Ain't really no money to be made here. Let me go to America where I can get a job. That never happened. You know, everybody understand? There was not one single black man that was in Africa that said, I'm going to go to America to get a job, and he sailed over here. We came to America on the bottom of slave ships, forced on those slave ships by Africans who went to war with us in Africa, rounded us up, kidnapped us, forced us in chains, took us to the white man and sold us. That is how we came to America. You understand?
They were the Africans who did that, right?
Yeah, raise your hand, brother. The Africans were the ones that put us in slavery. They were the ones that, you know what I'm saying, put us in captivity. But now, real quick, let's go into the dictionary. I'm gonna get the definition of the word slavery out of the slavery.com, all right, online. Everybody can see this. Let me see if get the TV working, so everybody can get a visual of what it is that we're reading. All right, somebody, if y'all can see it on the TV, you read this definition of slave for me for the class. Hold up, make sure this is working. Just plug. Everybody can see that, right? Let me see if I can get somebody to read it for me. This is the dictionary.com definition of the word slave. Officer Nup.
Slavery. Salakia. Is that
slave?
Slave.
Yeah, slave.
Slave. A person who is the property of and wholly the subject to another.
A person who is the property of and wholly subject to another. Read on.
A bond servant.
A bond servant. What is a bond servant? Someone that is bound to serve you for a set price.
Right.
I mean, this person paid to have you serve them. Everybody understand? A bond servant. Read on.
A person entirely under the domination of some influence or person.
Now, there's a slave that is not someone's property. There's a slave that is not bound in chains, that's getting their back whipped. There's another slave that is a person entirely under the domination of some influence or person. Everybody understand that? That is not physical slavery. That is mental slavery. You understand? Physical slavery, you're somebody's property. I own you. Mental slavery, you're under the domination of some influence of a person. Y'all see that? That's a little different than in chains. All right. Now I'm gonna go into this book. This is the book Slavery, A World History. Right. And I'm gonna read to y'all Slavery, A World History. Let me get this is page 3. It's the third paragraph. It says, what is a slave? The dictionary defines a slave as a person held in bondage to another. The root of the word is a national name, Slav. The adaptation of Slav to slave comes from the time when the Germans supplied the slave markets of Europe with captured Slavs. Thus, a national name that meant glory became perverted by chance or malice to mean servitude. This aspect of the history of slavery will be discussed in a later chapter. It goes on and says, a slave then is a man who is the property of another. Property is something owned, land, goods, money, that to which a person has legal title, and the owner has the exclusive rights to possess, enjoy, and dispose of this property. Everybody understand? So being a slave means physical slavery means a person owns you and they can do whatever they want to do with you. You like their horse or their cup or their shoes. Everybody understand? A little bit more. Often the word chattel is used in connection with slavery. Chattel means property or capital. Everybody understand? Like you have a car is capital, a house is capital, land. Something that you have in possession, but you can sell it at a higher value. That's capital. You understand? If you own a house, you go to the bank and get a loan, the bank is going to say, how much capital do you have? You say, I own a house, I got 3 cars, I own a record company. That's your capital. That's things that you use to make money. Everybody understand? That's the slave also is categorized as capital. It goes on and says it means livestock too, such as cattle or slaves. Now I'm gonna read, this is the white man explaining slavery in his mind. Everybody understand? This is the 4th page. It says to possess something, to hold property means to have unlimited power over it. The slave is subjected to his master, not just to his authority, but to the full exercise of his master's power. That power has always been used to compel the slave to work. A free laborer, meaning somebody that's working for free or they're choosing to work, can stop working whenever he likes. It may sometimes be at the risk of starving, but he can quit. The slave cannot. His life is like a tool in the hands of his master. The power of the master enables him to use that tool for his own purposes. In the master's eye, the slave has no will. And the reason why I just read that is because I want us to understand something. Being a black man in America, you are not a free laborer. Being the descendants of slaves in the Western Hemisphere, blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, we are still in the same situation that our ancestors were in when the white man physically had us in chains. Why do I say that? Now, if we're slaves in America, who are free laborers? Somebody give me an example of somebody that has a choice on whether or not they work here in America. Officer, no.
Somebody that comes from money in their background.
Not too well. Somebody that comes from money in their background. Why do you say that? Why do you say somebody with money in their background has a choice to work or not?
Because if they stop working, it ain't going to affect them.
If they stop working, they're going to affect them. How long?
Until they deplete their fathers or their mothers' resources.
Okay. So if their fathers and mothers' resources can be depleted, can they choose to not work? No, they're going to have to go to work. So if you're a black man whose family had money, you just say, man, you know what? I ain't going to work. I'm just going to live off my parents' money. Their parents' money run out. Then what do? You got to work. Now, let's use that example for a Chinese man in America. Say you're a Chinese boy. Your parents worked hard, made money, had a fortune, right? You raised up in America. You just say, you know what? I'm not going to work. I'm going to live off my parents' money. Once that Chinese boy runs through his parents' money, what options does he have to survive on the earth? He can go back to China. He ain't got to work. He ain't got to be a slave to the white man. He can get on a plane and go back to China. And what does he get when he go back to China? He'll get welfare. He can go be a manager of the company. He can go use his American education and start his own business, make a new fortune. Right. He has the choice of going back to China. Same with an East Indian child. Same with an African child. Same with a white man. Now, your parents from Mexico, and they come over here and work hard and make some money. You a Mexican and you decide I'm not going to go to work. What happens when you run out of money? Can you go to Mexico? Can the Mexican government get welfare for you? Can you go to Mexico and use your American education to get a fortune? No, this is Puerto Rican. You born in America, you raised in New York City, your parents made money doing whatever. They died, leave you the money, you just kick back. You run out of that money, you gonna go back to Puerto Rico? Puerto Rican government got welfare set up for you. They got a system in place for you to become rich in the Puerto Rican whatever business they got. No, everybody understand. There's a difference between the status we have here in America and the status that these other nations have. We are slaves because we don't have a choice in life. Either you work or what? Or you starve to death. You're a black man in America now. You ain't got to go to work. You ain't got to have a 9 to 5. You can just say, you know what, man, to hell with this system. I ain't going to work. How you going to put a roof over your head?
That's right.
How you going to put clothes on your back? how are you going to eat? As a black man in America, you can't even be a bum in America. You understand? You a black man, a healthy black man in America, the shelter is only going to house you for a small amount of time before they put you on a work program where you got to go out and seek a job every day. You understand? Welfare ain't unlimited and forever. You understand? Even the welfare they do give you is not enough for a person to even sustain themselves. If you're a black man in America or a man in America and you work a minimum wage job, don't you know that you cannot provide housing for yourself anywhere in America? Let me get the statistics for y'all. If you are a human being in America, all right, if you work in America, right? If you're a man and a woman in America and you make minimum wage, I'm gonna pull this map up for y'all so y'all can see what kind of housing you can afford, all right? If you work minimum wage in America. Give me 1 second. Nope. There we go. Pull this up. See if I can get it going. Just so y'all can see this. And this spells out. Hold on. Oh, man. All right, real quick. Everybody see that, right? Real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay. 1 second. Make sure I get this so everybody can see it. So if you live in America and you make minimum wage, this is what you can provide. This is what you can afford as far as housing is concerned in America. Photos. Get it big. All right, so give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. This is the hours at minimum wage needed to afford rent. In no state can a minimum wage worker afford a 2-bedroom unit at fair market rent working a standard 40-hour work week. Everybody understand that? If you live in America and you work a 40-hour job at minimum wage, you cannot afford a 2-bedroom apartment anywhere in America. You understand? If you work at you working at McDonald's and you go to apartments.com, you just wasting your life because there's not a single house, a single apartment that you can find for rent. Everybody understand? So if you're a man that got a kid, 2 kids, whatever the case may be, or you're a single black woman, got a child, you working a minimum wage 9-to-5 job, you cannot provide housing for yourself. Does everybody understand that? Now, if you're a Chinese man in this position, you can just go back to China. If you're a French man in this position, you can go back to France. If you're African, you can just go back to Africa. You understand? But as a black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man and woman, you asked out. Everybody understand? Now, America's supposed to be the land of the free and land of opportunity. These other nations come over here, they make money, they got businesses in their communities. We are the people that don't have no businesses. We are the ones that got to go to these other nations for help. Everybody understand? And that leaves us in a position where we have no choice but to serve these people. You understand? Let me get real quick. Let me get Deuteronomy 28. Where the Most High prophesied the predicament that we find ourselves in here in America. The Lord promises that if we didn't obey him and keep his laws, that we would be in the situation that we find ourselves in today. Let me know when y'all get it. Come on, Officer Knock, you had something?
Even in Alaska, you need to make more than 80 hours a week.
Even in Alaska, you need more than 80 hours a week. Now, let me ask y'all, if anybody can do some math, how many hours are there in a week? Does anybody know?
Well, in 5 days is 40. So you give me
5 days ain't 40 hours. 24 times 7. Quick math real quick. 20 times 7 is 140. 168. 168 hours in a week. You got to work 80 in order to provide housing for yourself. How many hours do you have left for yourself? 88 hours. You have 88 hours left. You work. That's working 12 hours a day to do that. To do 80 hours in a week is working 5 12-hour shifts. Everybody understand that? Or is it more than that? That's 7 12-hour shifts. To work 80 hours in a week is 7 12-hour shifts. Now, that's not strange to our people. That's something that black people doing right now. I personally know a lot of people who work in 7 12-hour shifts, whether it's 2 jobs, 3 jobs, you understand, 5 days of 12 hours, picking up some side work. That's how we living and surviving in this place. And that is how we have been forced to live and survive in this place for a very long time. Everybody understand? By the definition that the white man put forth, we are slaves still today in America. Let me get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Let's get the prophecy the Lord put down for the children of Israel. Young brothers, come on with it.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness. The
Lord said in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness. The Most High said we was going to serve our enemies. And that's what we're doing here in America today. If you hungry, go get a job. If you thirsty, go get a job. You want some shoes to put on your feet, go get a job. You understand? You want to put a roof over your head, go get a job. The Lord said we were going to serve our enemies for one of all things. You understand? Where you going to get this job? There's no black organization established to give black people work. Everybody understand? There's no black African American union of workers. You're going to get a job, you're going to go to the white man. You understand? He's the only one that even hired you. You can't go to the Chinese and get a job. Go to Chinatown and try to get a job. Go to the carryout that you grew up on with fried chicken and fried rice and ask them for a job. They're going to tell you, hell no. Go to the Arab bodega, try to get a job. Have y'all ever seen a black man working at Crown Fried Chicken? I've been in Philly for 4 years. I ain't seen it yet. Is there any black people work at Crown Fried Chicken? No, you can't go to Crown Fried Chicken and get a job. You ever seen a black man working at 7-Eleven? You seen a black man gas station attendant? These things I've never seen in my life. I've never gone to the gas station at 1 in the morning, leaving from wherever I'm at, and it's a brother behind the glass. Young man.
You know, it's funny. I seen one black woman working at A+.
You seen a black woman with dang, you came up because I couldn't even find that. You understand? I could not find that.
But it's funny that it was a woman.
Yeah, it was a woman. Now they give a black woman a job. That's because sometimes, unfortunately, they have sisters doing all types of nastiness, bowing down to these heathens on these jobs. You understand? But as a man, it's unnatural to just bow yourself down to another man. Everybody understand? Officer Yanaquam.
So if I could, you're right about that. Because you know what I'm saying, I seen, but even though you know, when you go into the Chinese stores where they have the you know, the baristas and stuff, you see some of the sisters in there, and then you also see you know, like in some of the, like, you know, the what do you call this, the seafood place. Yeah, you'll see some brothers like on 69th Street, you know, down here. Yeah, like where, you know, where Oriel and them live. Yeah. So it's like on that corner, and you know, when you go down, when we go into this house, we turn that corner, but it's a crab shop right there on the corner. Yeah, I'm here. And his brothers is working there, but you don't see many, like you said. That's true. You majority, you don't even see, you know.
Like I said, a lot of times these places won't even hire you. They won't even give you the time of day, young man.
I've seen one black brother working 7-Eleven, but I believe he is a homosexual.
So you know what I mean? He working, he get a job at 7-Eleven, but he got a full out beating out a black man. To be a homosexual is not. To be a homosexual is not. It's like anti-black. You cannot be a black man and be a homosexual. You know what I'm saying? To be a homosexual robs you of pride and strength and swagger. I've never seen a homosexual with no type of swag about him. You see a homosexual, it's like, this cat's fruity, man. What's wrong with him? You know what I mean? I've never in my life, even in the world, seen a cool homosexual. It's like they can't exist. To be a homosexual and you black makes you a white man. And to be a white man is to be uncool. They don't want to grow up and be, you know, whatever white man people idolize. Who the hell wants to grow up and be him? You understand? But that's what being a homosexual makes you. You understand? So like the brother said, if we do get a job amongst these heathens, you got to be a homosexual or you got to make yourself like them. You get a job with the Arabs selling oils, you got to put on a dress and a kufi and say assalamu alaikum. And even then the Arabs look at you like, you know, you disgusting. The brother told me a story about Islam that made me sick to my stomach. You understand? Them Arabs do not look at you with no type of honor, no respect. And it goes for every other heathen whose culture that we try to join ourselves to. Everybody understand? So I'm gonna go, now we pull the scripture, I'm gonna go back to the book and read a little bit more, right? It says, what is the effect of a relationship of absolute domination? What does slavery do to the slave's personality and to the masters? For both, it is a moral disaster. It seems safe to say that a sense of one's own worth is at the root of morality. Now, does everybody understand what he just said? The sense of one's own worth is at the root of morality. What is morality? Does anybody know? Young man. Your morals, the values you live by. That's what morality is. Your sense of what's right and what's wrong. They said that at the root of your sense of right and wrong is your worth. How do you value yourself? Now, if you have low self-worth, then what is your right and wrong like? Meaning if you don't value yourself, what does right and wrong look like to you? Right. If you have low self-worth, are you going to have a high standard of what's right and what's wrong? For example, look at a brother or sister on drugs. To be on drugs and to be strung out on crack or heroin or whatever the drug may be, you have a low self-worth, which means right and wrong to that person doesn't even really matter in their life. Which is why a person that's hooked on drugs will do anything to get high. They'll offer to give you oral sex. A woman will offer to give you her body. A woman with a child will offer her child to have sex with you so that they can get high. A person who doesn't have a high sense of self-worth, their right and wrong is at a very low standard. They don't have morality. Someone living at the bottom doesn't have morality. When they feel like their life isn't worth anything, they don't care about right and wrong. These brothers out here that's robbing and murdering and killing, what do they think about themselves? Think their life ain't about nothing. I'd rather be dead than to be broke. I'd rather it be said that I died, you know, robbing and hustling than to be said I died on my knees like a slave. That's how our people thinking, which is why you see us committing the crimes that we commit. Why you see us murdering each other, robbing each other, and just living a horrible life. We don't value ourselves. Who do we value though? We do value the lives of the white man, which is why brothers will kill each other in the streets, but they won't kill the white man. White man running the church and shoot 9 black people, will go march and protest and actually take a flag down. But let a Negro step on your shoes in the club, you'll blow his brains out. You understand? That's at the root of morality is the sense of your self-worth. I'm gonna read on. It says, by denying a man's humanity, slavery prevents him from developing a sense of human dignity. And that is what has happened to us in America. We have been denied our humanity. The white man does not treat us like we are human beings. He treats us like we are things, like we are his slaves. And because the white man does not value our lives and treats us like he doesn't value our lives, over the years, we've learned not to value ourselves. And because we don't value ourselves, we don't have a sense of dignity. You understand? A black man will do anything to get on. Everybody remember that show, Making the Band with Puff Daddy? Them cats was so desperate to get a record deal. Puff Daddy said, walk to Brooklyn and get me some cheesecake. Everybody remember that? Them cats walked to Brooklyn to get cheesecake. Why did they walk to Brooklyn to get cheesecake? Because there ain't no shame in my game. You ever heard that before? Ain't no shame in my game. I'm just trying to get paid. These cats walked now. Your life you gotta be desperate for a cat to tell you to walk to Brooklyn for some cheesecake. And that's on the big. I'm just bringing it up because that's a major example that a lot of people can relate to. But we see those types of things every day. Get a good job. What you got to do? Shave your beard. Talk like this. Speak proper English. I know cats in the hood, man. F you, I kill you, dog. Something. They pick up the phone and they balls. Hey, Mr. Smith. How you doing, sir? Oh, yes, sir. No problem. Get off the phone, man. I hate you crackers, man. I can't stand you yelling at my job. But you straighten up when master come around. You understand? That's how we've been trained and we've adapted ourselves to that way of living. You understand?